Welcome to the Rewriting Naruto series part 52. This is a series of videos where I rewrite Naruto, making changes to improve the story for my personal taste. I took a little longer to release this one because Deidara's backstory arc is taking longer than I expected, and also because the previous rewrite did pretty bad in terms of numbers and everything, so please like the video to help me out, continue the series, subscribe if you haven't already, and definitely ring those notifications so you always know when they come out. Come on, those things really help me out, and it takes 2 seconds for you to do them, and it's free. Thank you very much, and let's get going. Deidara walked down the great mountain that had imprisoned him his entire life. He stared up towards the peak, gazing at the temple with contempt, but he smiled. The other monks alongside him cried. There was a great sense of sorrow in them, which Deidara did not share. He contained his glee, as per Kurohiri's request. He didn't want to make the woman who liberated him angry. They reached a section of the mountain descent where a chasm formed itself in front of them, cutting through the narrow road. It was over 10 meters wide, impossible to pass normally. How are we ever gonna cross that? Deidara asked. You see, you need to know ninjutsu in order to come and go from the Erode temple. Luckily for you, I just so happen to be very accomplished with ninjutsu, Kurohiri said, weaving hand signs. Earth style, land bridge. The stone from one of the edges of the chasm lapped towards the other side, creating a wide bridge over the abyss. Deidara's mouth curled into a smile upon seeing the bridge manifesting itself. He had never seen ninjutsu before. They crossed the chasm and finally left the mountain. When Deidara looked up, the peak was no longer visible, for the clouds were lower than the mountain peak itself. That bridge you made was interesting. There was some sort of art to it, but not enough, Deidara told Kurohiri. Art? What do you mean? There's art in ninjutsu because it seeks infinity, right? That bridge just didn't have enough impact to see. To see what? Infinity? You're funny, Deidara. I have no idea what you're talking about. Did the monks teach you that? In a way, yeah. Is that why you volunteered to be a ninja? To learn ninjutsu? Well, first I need to get the hell out of there, but yeah, I will find out what true art is, and ninjutsu will take me there. Well, you know you'll be a shinobi, right? Not an artist. Yes, yeah. If you graduate from the Ninja Academy, you can only retire after 35 years of service to the Stone Village. Or if for some reason you can no longer be a shinobi. But if you don't respect that, you'll be considered a rogue ninja, and you don't want to become that. Can't I just still do art while I'm a ninja as well? You know, of course, you just can't do whenever you want it. You'll have to do it in your free time and not break any rules. Deidara was more than happy with that. He had barely any free time in the temple, and learning ninjutsu sounded exciting. The group of ninjas and young monks walked for a few days, traversing the rocky landscape and camping on the side of the road. They weathered rain, wind, and the blazing sun on their way to the stone village. The ninjas accompanying them bought supplies from merchants that passed on the road or at the occasional inn they found on the way. Every time they went to sleep, Deidara noticed Kurohiri writing something on a notebook. She wrote for a long time before lying down, which made Deidara curious. On the 5th day of voyage, Deidara finally asked her, "What are you writing about?" "Oh, I'm writing journal entries in my diary. I thought diaries were for kids." "Well, I guess so, but I write it for my daughter. She loves to read about what happens during my missions. Of course, I can't write about everything, but I love to share what I can with her." "Oh, that's nice." Deidara couldn't understand that very well. He had never had a parental figure, only those monks. "Is it true that ninjas use papers that explode?" Kurohiri finished her writing and closed the notebook. "Well, yes. Explosive paper tags, they're common shinobi gear. Do you have one on you?" "I don't know." "Damn it, I wanted to see how they work." Kurohiri smiled. She looked around as the ninjas and monk boys were getting ready to sleep. "I'm sure you'll get the chance sooner than you think." Deidara went to sleep, but he was awake in the middle of the night. Kurohiri looked at him with a devious smile and her index finger to her lips. She quietly motioned Deidara to follow her. He didn't even question and went after the woman. After they had walked about 10 minutes away from the campsite, Deidara finally said, "Where are we going? You wanted to see paper bombs, right? We have to get far away enough so they wouldn't hear us. I may be a Jonin leader, but I'll get into a lot of trouble if they catch me doing this." Her words sounded like a warning, but her face was gleeful, and Deidara smiled. "Really? That's awesome!" They got to the side of a steep hill, and Kurohiri smiled, pulling a red piece of paper out of her bag and hung it on the rock. "We gotta walk a few steps away. Also, you should cover your ears. This is gonna be loud." "No, I wanna feel everything. Covering my ears will make it less exciting." "Alright." The paper tag reacts to chakra and explodes. Check this out. Kurohiri raised one hand with the index and middle fingers pointing up and yelled, "Catch!" Cats! The paper exploded in a flash of white-yellow light. The sound and shockwave hit Deidara, who smiled in awe. That explosion, that was artistic. That paper tag, its end was beautiful. A masterful sublimation. The brief instant of obliteration became imprinted into Deidara's mind. That was beautiful. Kurohiri chuckled. If you say so. It is cool, I'm not gonna lie. Why did you say that word? Katsu. Oh, that's weird coming from you, monk boy. It's a type of shao that's used to stop the discursive thoughts, and it can potentially help to achieve an enlightenment experience. Or so I learned. My old sensei taught me that. He's no longer with us, he died in the war, but he had a very spiritual way to view life. I mostly say it as a quirk nowadays. It helps maintain concentration and remember sensei, so it's nice, but it's not as though it's helping my jutsu out. Those stupid monks couldn't even teach me that. They're all useless, come on. So maybe if I say that, it could help me see the slice of infinity in the explosion. I'm not sure what you mean, but that sounds good, yeah. Do you want to try it? Deidara beamed. Really? Yeah. Let's see if you're able to mold your chakra and send it over to the paper bomb. If you can, that's alright. I'll do it myself again. Kurohiri approached a section of the wall near the one that smoked from the previous explosion, and she placed a dozen paper bombs stacked on top of each other. We should get a little further away this time. This one's gonna pack a punch. Deidara walked further back with her. Now, you have to feel your chakra flowing, and once you do, concentrate and expel it towards the paper tags. Deidara nodded. Everyone feels their own chakra differently. Close your eyes and reach inward. Breathe deeply and think about the explosion. Deidara did so. What do you feel? Can you sense your own chakra? Yeah, it's popping. Deidara raised his hand just like Kurohiri did a minute ago, with a terse motion, and yelled, "Cats!" The paper bombs all ignited at once, exploding in a chaotic blast that sent shards of debris everywhere. The fire rose up into the night sky in the shape of a three-pointed column, with one major pillar of fire rising straight and the other two rising diagonally from the sides. The shockwave almost knocked Deidara back. The sound assaulted his ears, but he only felt vigor flowing through his veins. Out of infinite possibilities, he created that specific shape, the three-pronged column. That was infinity, a tiny piece of it. He felt the word he shouted let him concentrate better, so he focused on his creation, or rather, his destruction. His mouth hung open in sheer shock. The awe of the explosion itself would never be forgotten. Kurohiri's mouth hung open as well, but she looked at Deidara, not at the explosion. I cannot believe he managed to control his chakra and detonate the tags in his first try without ever having used ninjutsu before. I was just teasing him. I was gonna do it myself. I was sure he wasn't be able to do it, and he did it effortlessly his first try. Those monks are completely against ninjutsu, so this boy never had any training, and he can control his chakra instinctively this way. He's a prodigy, Kurohiri thought in amazement. Nice work, Deidara. This was art. I have to pursue that. I have to learn how to make it myself. Well, that's good. There are ninjas that specialize in using paper bombs, so you can be one of them. No, I have to create it myself, or it's not gonna be complete. Kurohiri smiled at that. He was a curious boy. Being raised by monks and being a rebel was not something normal. Well, I'm sure you're gonna figure something out, Deidara. Now let's get back to the others before they notice we're gone. It took them over a week to reach the stone village. The vast city was hidden amidst a great mountain range, and when Deidara passed through the gates and saw the village itself with its countless stone buildings that came out of the ground, just like in the Erode temple, he couldn't help but to feel disappointed. The stories he heard about this village made it sound magnificent, artistic, but the buildings were very similar to the temple buildings. Most of them were created with Earth-style ninjutsu and had no artistic value to them, as if they were only built for function. The place looked drab and boring. The city might be immense, but all buildings look like the same exact thing with that boring stone color. It was as if the people from this place had no idea what art was, just like the monks. Even the people themselves looked a little dull. Food stalls sold rather stale food, and Deidara could see no signs of art, be it sculptures, paintings, or even vandalism. He was about to complain about it to Kurohiri, but a voice interrupted him. Finally, I can feel you. I can feel something. Please, I'm dying. Save me, please. A beautiful female voice said in an otherworldly melody. Deidara looked around, searching for whoever talked to him, but he didn't see anyone speaking. Is everything alright, Deidara? I know the size of the village can be overwhelming if you've never seen it before, but it'll be okay, Kurohiri said. Did you hear that voice? What voice? I don't know. It sounded like a weird woman. I think you're just tired from the long journey. You'll be able to rest soon enough. Okay, Deidara said, but he wasn't convinced. He definitely heard something. It wasn't just his imagination. Could it be God? The monk said if you opened yourself up, you could hear the voice of God in your mind. Was that what was happening? No, that made no sense. Those monks were all full of it. Kurohiri led the group of new recruits to a small courtyard near the largest building of the city. That is where Lord Tsuchikage works, she said, pointing to the building. You'll meet him now. He's the leader of the Stone Village, and will command you once you become shinobi. The monk recruits lined up in the courtyard in front of the Tsuchikage building, and eventually a short old man with an oddly large nose with warts showed up. A small retinue of ninjas followed him. The old man looked at them with a half grin. Good job, Kurohiri. This batch looks promising. Thank you, Lord Tsuchikage. Pluck them from that temple of stone huggers. Good. He then looked at the recruits. Are you ready to harden your will until it turns to stone, lads? The small crowd was silent, and Deidara didn't know what he meant. Stones were boring, unmovable. They just sat still and never changed, never did anything. Deidara couldn't fathom a worse destiny. Living forever, sitting still. He didn't want to become a stone. That was the last thing he wanted to become. Was that old man really the leader of the village? He looked weak and stupid. You don't look happy, lad, the old man told Deidara, locking eyes with him. But Deidara, for some reason, wasn't scared at all, even if he may be a leader of something. Are you really the leader of this place? You look worse than those monks did, Deidara said casually. The other monk boys looked at him irritated with a sly, but Kurohiri opened her eyes wide in fear. Don't judge people based on their look, boy. I don't know. You don't look good at all. And this city looks trash, too. You could at least paint some buildings and stuff, you know? How do you even know where different places are if all the buildings look the same? A shinobi village isn't meant to be a place to marvel at, but a place to build hardened stone warriors. He doesn't understand you, the weird female voice said. And once again, Deidara looked around, seeing no one speaking to him. No, boring's bad, Deidara said eventually. He debated with the old man without a care in the world as Kurohiri's face became increasingly more desperate. Deidara, that's enough. Everything is new to you, so it'll be weird in the beginning, but you'll get used to it. I don't know. You should try to make this place look a little better, at least. It's just sad. This one has spunk, the Tsuchikage laughed. You will begin your training next week. Don't forget, you're not monks anymore. You will lead a life of violence. Deidara opened a wide smile. The old man's choices for how the village looked were terrible, but at least the old man wasn't a peacemonger like those monks. Huh, you like that, Deidara? The Tsuchikage asked. Well, yeah, finally. I want to blow stuff up. Great. I'm looking forward to it. But tell me, why do you keep looking around? Are you looking for something? I guess. I heard someone speaking before, and it's fine whoever it was. Deidara, no one else was speaking, Kurohiri said, but the Tsuchikage narrowed his eyes in curiosity. Was it an ethereal female voice, lad? The old man asked, and Deidara opened his eyes wide. He knew, but how? It was, wasn't it? I take it back, Kurohiri. You didn't do a good job. You did an exquisite one. She looked confused, but thanked the Tsuchikage nonetheless. All of you except for Deidara will be taken to your new lodgings, the old man said as he signaled to the other ninjas following him to take the others away. Kurohiri and Deidara, with me. Deidara looked at Kurohiri with a puzzled face, but the woman nodded, and the two followed the short old man. The Tsuchikage took them through narrow stone alleyways, and the more they walked, the fewer people they saw around. Eventually, they arrived at a completely empty place hidden behind the great stone building in the middle of the village. Large, bland stone walls surrounded them. They made Deidara feel sad. But to Deidara's surprise, Kurohiri looked confused, just like he was. The Tsuchikage weaved hand signs, and a secret passage opened itself in one of the rock walls. They entered it, and found themselves in a dark cave. The Tsuchikage motioned them to walk with them, and Deidara felt like the tunnel would go forever. The old man grabbed a green crystal that gave off light out of his vest to illuminate the way as the three walked. The teal-green glow of the crystal created strange shadows in the darkness that fascinated Deidara. For once, it was something kind of artistic, even though the old man didn't do it on purpose. Those shadows were the only interesting thing about the cave, for it had nothing on the walls other than rock itself. They walked the cave maze for over half an hour. The Tsuchikage opened over a dozen new secret passageways with his earth style in seemingly random spots in the cave. That place was a labyrinth. Yes, please, come to me. Save me from this unsightly prison, the ethereal voice said. Deidara looked at Kurohiri and the Tsuchikage. He was certain they didn't hear it, for they didn't motion a single reaction. Heard the voice again, boy? Deidara nodded, which made the Tsuchikage smile. We're getting close. Finally, the old man opened a massive gate on the rock wall of a circular antechamber room. As the stone wall opened, it revealed another but smaller chamber. A A strange and bright white light came from it. The power of the light made Deidara squint after his eyes had gotten used to the relative darkness of the cave. "You came," the ethereal voice said. "Yes, he did," the Tsuchikage said. "What is that?" Kurohiri said. So now they could hear it as well. "Come." The Tsuchikage motioned them to enter the next chamber, and they did. The powerful light washed over them, and Deidara's eyes finally got used to the brightness. He saw a being made out of pure light, or energy, with a silhouette of a woman. Its skin was energy itself, bright, luminous, and beautiful. Deidara couldn't help but to become mesmerized by the sheer magnitude of what he saw. This energy person was enchanting. There were dozens of glyphs written on the chamber walls to seal its movements, and the symbols themselves dwarfed the womanly figure, who couldn't be larger than Deidara himself. So this was a literal prison. "What is this, Lord Tsuchikage?" Kurohiri whispered to him. "That's a yokai." "A yokai?" "They are chakra beings that ruled the world before humanity acquired chakra. There aren't many left anymore." "Chakra beings? So they're like tail beasts?" "No. Each yokai represents a concept or feeling. They are made out of chakra like the tail beasts, but their nature is different. Unlike tail beasts, which we can control and seal within Jinchuriki hosts, we cannot control yokais. If we are to use their power, they must give it to us willingly." "And what do you mean by use their power?" Onoki looked at Deidara. The yokai's presence still mesmerized the boy. "I captured this yokai several decades ago with my old master and imprisoned it in the depths of our village. We tried to weaponize it in every way we could, but she will only give her powers to someone she finds worthy of them." "And you think she would give Deidara her powers?" "I've never seen anyone else hearing her voice in their mind. We have to give it a try." "Onoki, you brought him here because you crave my power, don't you? You think I will give myself to this boy?" the yokai asked. "You've been communicating with him. I thought you had found your match." The woman of light looked at Deidara. "What is your name?" "I'm Deidara." He could swear he saw a smile on her face of light. "I am Ureshi, the yokai of beauty. I've been in prison here for so many years. Can you please help me, Deidara?" What could I even do?" "I apologize. I don't understand the dynamics of the human mind, even though I tried my whole life to." "Okay, but why did you take us here?" Deidara asked, looking at the Tsuchikage. "Ureshi, will you give this boy your powers?" Onoki asked. If I do that, I will cease to exist. He will be the one carrying my will." "Isn't that preferable over rotting in this place?" "The longer I stay away from beauty, the weaker I become. I will eventually cease to exist regardless if I stay here." "So that is your chance to live on. Live on in this boy. You saw something in him, did you not?" "Yes, he has an eye for beauty. I could feel it. I can connect my thoughts to those who can recognize true beauty." "So that's why I could hear you in my mind?" "Yes, you were a beacon of light amidst darkness. The humans of this place, they have no eye for beauty. They are dull and bland. You, on the other hand, Deidara, you know what beauty is. So tell me, what is beauty for you?" Deidara remembered himself chewing on clay and molding his dragon statuette. Art is beauty. "And what is art?" Deidara remembered his clay dragon shattering on the face of the old monk, and the thousands of shards erupting into a chaotic cascade. He remembered the old monk's nose breaking and his face getting cut, the blood mixing with the shards. At the moment of impact, he also remembered the paper bombs he used, the fiery ignition, the light, the chaos, the shockwave, the uncertainty and absolution coalescing in that sliver of a moment, becoming infinity. Art is an explosion. "Extend your hand towards me, Deidara," the entity said. There was an odd sweetness but grief in her voice. Deidara did so, and the Tsuchikage undid the ceiling strapping the yokai in place. Ureshi's white energy hand touched Deidara's. A cosmic wave flooded his body. Deidara saw white, and he felt like every fiber of his being was exploding constantly. He saw visions, his entire life, the clay dragon, him chewing the clay, the explosion, the paper bombs, the 3 columns of fire rising up in the air, and also the weird life of this creature running away from terrors far more powerful than her, always afraid, and then running away from people. My own kind always sought to destroy me, and then the humans,
They wanted to use me. I finally gave in. But I think you will carry my will forward, Deidara. This is the last time I will ever speak to you. Don't ever let anyone bind your art down. Seek beauty. Seek infinity. I will give you the means to produce them. But after that, I will be nothing but a shadow. My essence and my dreams lie with you now.
Deidara woke up disoriented. He blinked and looked around himself. His blurry vision took some time to adjust. He was laying in a bed. The room had walls made out of single piece of stone, earth-style walls. He remembered what happened to him and the weird yokai lady. Was that all a dream? Something licked his hand. That was odd. Was there a cat in bed with him? Deidara pulled his hand from beneath the bed sheets and shouted in a yelp. There was a mouth on his palm. A human mouth. And the tongue was hanging out of it. He pulled his other hand out of the sheets. And this time he managed to contain his yelp, but that hand also had a mouth. What the hell is going on? He screamed. The room's door opened with brutal speed, and a girl that looked like a tiny Kurohiri clone dashed in, holding a kunai in a battle stance. I heard screaming over here! She then locked eyes with Deidara, and her expression soured in disappointment. Mom! The mouth boy woke up! Mouth boy? Oh yeah, can you see anybody else with 3 mouths? There's no need to tease him, Kurotsuchi, Kurohiri said as she stepped into the room. A large man with a big round nose followed her in. How do you feel, Deidara? I have mouths in my hands! And other than that? I guess I'm fine, but I have mouths in my hands! Now that's good. I mean, the medical ninja said you'll be alright. And, well, the mouths are side effects. What are these freaking mouths? What do you mean side effects? Calm down, Deidara. I'll explain. Well, first, let me introduce you to these two. This is my daughter, Kurotsuchi. She gestured to the small girl who showed her tongue to Deidara in a cheeky way. She's a year younger than you, but I think you'll get along fine. I kinda doubt that, Kurotsuchi said. Kuro, I want you to behave, alright? Okay, Mom. And this is my husband, Kitsuchi. She gestured to the large man. Hi, I'm Deidara. Nice to finally meet you, young man, Kitsuchi said with enthusiasm. We will take you in, Deidara. You'll be living with us from now on, okay? Alright. Lord Tsuchikage requested us to take care of you. You have barely arrived, and yet you're one of the most important people in the village. Because I have mouths in my hands? Well, I guess you could say that, but it's because you carry the power of Reshi, the yokai of beauty. Remember? I do. It was crazy. Yeah, it was. You've been unconscious for 3 days. 3 days? I didn't feel any time passing. See? You're a freak. Kurotsuchi said, but her mother shot her a glance, which shut her up. We're going to make sure you'll become a fine shinobi, Deidara. Next week, you'll start in the ninja academy with Kurotsuchi, and Lord Tsuchikage said he's going to eventually give you some private lessons, because, you know, you're a special guy. What? That old fart? I don't wanna. Hey, don't call Grandpa an old fart! Grandpa? Yes, the Tsuchikage is my father, Kitsuchi said. Oh, my bad. Don't worry, he can be severe sometimes. Okay, but what about these mouths? I mean, what the hell is going on? According to the doctors, they said they are part of the power of the yokai left behind. Lord Tsuchikage will probably know more about than me whenever they finish their research. They examined you thoroughly while you were unconscious, you know? And whenever they're ready, he's going to give you some private lessons so you learn how to tame this power. I wish Grandpa would give me private lessons, Kurotsuchi said with a bratty attitude. Don't worry, you'll have plenty of private lessons with Roshi. After all, you have the same affinity to magma style, and he's a great shinobi, just like your granddad. Come on, Deidara, let's have dinner. You must be famished. Which mouth am I even supposed to eat with now? The three burst out in laughter. That wasn't a joke! Well, I guess you'll have to figure it out as you go. Deidara was surprised at how welcoming Kurohiri and her family had been, feeding him nice meals with delicious meat and encouraging Deidara to create art, even though they knew nothing about it. The first day of the academy arrived soon enough. He and Kurotsuchi headed towards the academy ready for their first day. So, tell me, can you actually taste anything with those mouths, mouth boy? Kurotsuchi asked, pointing to his hands. Don't call me that. I don't like the nickname. Oh, don't worry. I'm not gonna call you that in the academy. I'm not mean. Okay. Not sure if I trust you. Yeah, you can trust me. It's fine. But you taste stuff with them? Actually, yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know how to explain. I can control it and stuff and taste as well, so washing my hands, it's kind of disgusting now. Soap doesn't taste good. What about wiping? I don't want to talk about that, okay? Kurotsuchi laughed. You shouldn't show those hands too much in the academy, because they're gonna tease you, alright? I suppose. But why do you care? I don't know, just looking out for you. But if you don't care, why were you upset when I called you mouth boy? I don't know. You know, I'll be stronger than you. That's why you're jealous. Huh? You have no artistic sense. Artistic sense? I didn't say that. Yeah, but that's what I care about. You're a weirdo, mouth boy. You're a weirdo too. How am I a weirdo? You play with teddy bears. You saw that? You were peeping into my room? No, you left your bedroom door open and I saw you kissing that weird fox teddy bear. It looks ugly as hell. Fox
Foxy is cute! It's not. Whoever made that thing had no artistic sense. It looks like a cramping weasel. Oh, shut up about artistic sense. Foxy is beautiful. No, it's not. It's the furthest thing from beautiful you could ever have. Yes, it is beautiful. Beauty is different for everyone. No, beauty is absolute. Of course not. Different people find different things beautiful. No, beauty is objective. If everything could be beautiful, then nothing would be truly beautiful. Oh, really? Then who decides what's beautiful or what's not? I do.
Kurotsuchi exploded into mocking laughter. Deidara sighed. Teaching about true beauty was useless to those who couldn't recognize beauty itself. Words could never break through their ignorance. So Deidara would have to do it through actions. He would show the world what true beauty was. Art. Real, bold, revolutionary art. Deidara and Kurotsuchi started in the academy that day, and as the weeks went on, it became clear to them and to the other students that they were by far the most talented students of the class. As a matter of fact, they were the most talented students in the academy in years. During the first few weeks, Deidara learned the basics of using chakra, and Kurotsuchi was always eager to beat him. She challenged him to all sorts of games and bets, but he never accepted. Deidara wasn't interested at all in competing with her. She had no artistic sense. Competing against Kurotsuchi would be like Deidara playing shogi while she was playing rock, paper, scissors. It would just be a waste of time. Kurotsuchi was keen on winning and now competing others, but Deidara wanted to create art. They had nothing in common. During his free time, Deidara created new clay sculptures using his mouth hands instead of his regular mouth, and he started to get much better at them. However, he simply could not replicate the beauty he saw that day with the paper bombs. Sure, he could shatter the sculptures on someone's face, but that wasn't enough anymore. Not after what Kurohiri showed him with the explosive tag. It didn't matter how much he asked. Neither his academy senseis nor his foster parents would let him handle paper bombs anymore.
I told you, Deidara, that was a one-time thing, alright? And you can't tell anyone that I was playing with paper bombs with you. If they find out I let a 7-year-old handle them, I'll be in trouble.
Kurohiri told Deidara late at night in his room now filled with clay statuettes of all types of animals.
But I'm sure it can make them work. I know you can, I saw it. But you have to be patient. You'll be able to handle them once you become a ninja. And by the looks of it, you'll graduate much earlier than most kids do. You know, the village is in need of new ninjas, so it will only take a couple of years for you and Kuro to graduate. But I want to create true art! I can't do that without paper bombs! Your sculptures are amazing, of course you can create art! It's not the same. Even if I break them, I can't see the glimpse. Glimpse? Never mind. No, tell me. You can tell me anything, Deidara. A glimpse of infinity. You can only see it for a brief moment, and it happens during something magnificent. The moment of true art. When something explodes. Exactly!
Kurohiri chuckled.
It's not a joke! I know, but you'll have plenty of time, Deidara. You should focus on the basics for now. Besides, Lord Tsuchikage will start his private lessons with you soon enough. Maybe you'll learn something special with him. I really doubt that. That old man has no artistic sense. Well, none of you do, but at least you are nice. That old man smells funny.
Kurohiri barked in laughter, but then she looked at Deidara with affection and pinched his cheek.
I'm so glad I decided to go to that temple. Sometimes the best things come after you wait a bit. Remember that.
Deidara liked Kurohiri. She was great, but she didn't understand. Well, that didn't matter. She didn't have to know what Deidara was about to do. After careful days of observation, pretending he wasn't doing anything important, Deidara found out where Kurohiri and Kitsuchi kept their shinobi gear in the house. He intended to snatch a few paper bombs that night. So in the middle of the night, he snuck out of his room and tiptoed towards the adult's room. He had learned a few stealth lessons in the academy. He reached the room and slowly opened the door. For his luck, it didn't creak. Deidara looked at the bed, and Kitsuchi and Kurohiri were there sleeping. So he moved towards a small cabinet where they kept their gear. And then a hand touched Deidara's shoulder, which made him jump. He looked back and saw Kurohiri with a sleepy yet cheeky face.
You really thought you could sneak past 2 jonins, Deidara? I told you, no paper bombs.
I thought you were sleeping.
Well, we were, but ninjas should be on guard at all times. Now, Deidara, obey Kurogiri or we're gonna have to ground you, Kitsuchi said. Alright, my bad.
A few days later, Deidara made his way to a training ground in the middle of the mountains just outside of the stone village. The Tsuchikage awaited for him there. The small man hovered in the air with arms crossed, his feet a few centimeters off the ground. It was kinda cool, but it didn't impress Deidara too much.
There you are, Deidara boy. Yes? I take my son and daughter-in-law haven't yet instilled you some manners.
He sighed with a smile.
Guess not. Are you gonna teach me something?
Yes, the results of our research. They have come out. We used all the data we
we could collect from your body while you were unconscious after you fused with Reshi. Yeah, I didn't like that. Kurohiri told me about it. We had to make sure you'd be healthy and without trauma, and we also had to understand your capabilities. After our research, we believe that those mouths in your hands were alterations Reshi made to your body, and they will allow you to emit and mull chakra in an exotic manner. Okay. Take this.
The old man offered Deidara a small piece of paper.
Infuse chakra into it, and when you do so, the paper will destroy itself. But the manner of destruction will reveal what chakra affinity you have.
Chakra affinity?
Which element your chakra favors? Earth, wind, water, lightning, or fire? I'll explain it better as we go.
Deidara took the paper and nodded.
Cats!
The paper turned itself into a small sheet of rock and then reveled in the wind.
Cat? The monk mantra? It's not from the monks. Well, anyway, the results are not unexpected. The way the chakra destroy the paper indicates you have an affinity to earth style. Now I would like to test something else.
He offered Deidara another piece of paper.
I want you to infuse it with chakra again, but now use your mouth hand to do it.
Alright. Deidara bit the piece of paper with his hand.
Cats!
The paper ignited in a flash of light and exploded. It sent a small shockwave that threw Deidara and the Tsuchikage to the ground because of their proximity. The sound of the explosion echoed around the mountains, and Deidara looked at his mouth hand in absolute delight. His face was singed, and his eyebrows were obliterated. Deidara laughed. His cackling echoed around the mountains as the Tsuchikage stood up with a tired grunt, clutching his back.
My back isn't the same I used to be.
Can't do it again? Come on, give me another piece of paper.
Not yet. You have to master this power first. It's peculiar. I've never seen such a violent reaction testing chakra affinities before. I've also never seen a different result from the same person. This means those hand mouths you have possess a unique ability.
Really?
Yes. The paper explodes in extremely rare cases. Only when whoever infuses it with chakra is a prodigy in explosion style. The combination of earth and lightning styles.
I have explosion style?
Yes, but apparently you can only use them through your mouth hands.
That's amazing. The light lady was amazing.
Well, you have to learn how to control it. As you just saw, it can be a dangerous power. To this day, every single explosion style user from the village died by their own jutsu.
Wow, I wouldn't mind dying like that. The Tsuchikage punched Deidara on the top of the head.
Idiot! You have to control this jutsu, not kill yourself with it. You have the potential to become the strongest ninja of this village. This is an unforgiving world, Deidara. You have been chosen to become a powerful ninja, one that can tip the balance back to our favor.
But she chose me to show beauty in the world, not to tip balances back or whatever.
Incorrect. Regardless of what the yokai wanted, the village is everything. We carry the will of the stone. We are hard warriors. We do not bend. You can create art as a hobby, but your priority is always the stone.
Deidara didn't like that one bit. He hated stones. They were stale and boring. But he figured he should go along with the old man. After all, he was about to teach Deidara how to use those mouths of his. And so he wouldn't need paper bombs anymore to create true art. He could do it himself, exactly how he wanted, how he saw it. It was there, in his mind's eye. He would create art and beauty none other would ever surpass. The weeks passed by, and Deidara kept on going to the academy with Kurotsuchi. He also had semi-regular training sessions with the Tsuchikage. With time, Deidara learned more and more about his ability. He understood that he could create regular clay with normal earth-style ninjutsu, and then enrich it by chewing the clay with his mouth hands, infusing it with his powerful explosion-style chakra. That process changed the color of the clay, making it become lighter. The lighter it was, the more potent it became, until it turned completely white. The enrichment process took a decent amount of time, but once he was done, he had access to the explosive clay, and he could mold it to his will. He only had to chew the enriched clay once more and make it into an art piece that would sublimize itself into the ultimate art form in a violent and beautiful explosion. It was there, the glimpses. Sometimes Deidara could see them. They were elusive, but they were there. Once he refined his art to the utmost extent, he would be able to gaze into infinity, to stare it down as an equal. But he was far from that still. He had so much more to learn, but he was certain he could achieve the ultimate art, the most beautiful art ever created. Several months passed, and after a particular training session in the middle of the mountains, Deidara saw a bright yellow light coming from afar, hidden between the mountains, just outside of the stone village. That piqued his curiosity, and he made his way there. He saw in the valley below Kurotsuchi training with Rochi. Deidara knew that man was a Jinchuriki of the Four Tails, some type of chakra creature that apparently wasn't like Koreshi, for that creature could still talk to him. That was weird. Deidara could not relate to that. Rochi and Kurotsuchi weaved hand signs and spat lava at a rock formation. The lava was incandescent, and Deidara could feel the heat on his face, even though he stood dozens of meters away. But that lava, Deidara detested it. It burned things slowly, like the monk burned that statuette back in the temple. And the worst part was that the lava cooled down and became solid again. That created rock, and rock simply remained dull and boring forever. He clenched his fists, and something snapped in him. The stone village was just like the lava jutsu. They bolstered their power and might as if they were hot, but in the end of the day, they were boring and dull. Kurotsuchi spat magma orbs towards the rock formation, and then Deidara realized something horrifying. The entire formation was made out of solid magma. Kurotsuchi's jutsu had created that over time, which would remain there perhaps forever. How unsightly, how disturbing. That girl had no idea what true beauty was. It was so obvious now. If Deidara didn't teach them what true beauty was through his art, then these idiots would remain blind forever, and now he could show them. He was becoming quite adept in his craft. Deidara bided his time for weeks, until both Kurohiri and Kitsuchi were out on missions to enact his plan. Deidara, where's Foxy? Have you seen him? Kurotsuchi barked at him with an annoyed face. After sunset, Deidara knew exactly where Foxy was. I think Foxy went for a walk, he said with a cheeky smile. Stop playing with me! Well, it's true. He was so ugly that he had to go out and try to find some beauty for himself. Shut up! Foxy is beautiful! Where did you put him? Deidara brought his hands up and opened them wide, exposing his mouths. His three mouths then opened in a diabolical smile at the same time. I have no idea, he said and bolted away, leaving their home. Wait, Deidara, what did you do? Kurotsuchi yelled and ran after him. They dashed through the night streets of the stone village. Deidara jumped up, hopping on rooftops and crossing the hanging bridges that connected the large stone buildings. Get him! Someone help me, please! If anyone interferes, you'll never see Foxy again! Kurotsuchi steeled herself and picked up the pace, but Deidara was fast. She couldn't catch up to him. Deidara led her out of the village itself to a familiar location, Kurotsuchi and Roshi's training grounds. She looked around, and relief washed over her as she saw Foxy safe and sound. He sat on top of the tall magma-style formations. Deidara turned around and prevented Kurotsuchi from getting to Foxy, getting close to her. No, you can't get him right now. You have to destroy him. Use your lava. Destroy that unsightly excuse for an art piece. Are you insane? I would never do that! Oh, come on. Prove to me that your jutsu has at least a drop of beauty in it. Kurotsuchi punched Deidara across the face, which sent him flying a couple of meters to the side and cleared the way for her to reach Foxy. She jumped up the rock formation to grasp her friend, but as she was about to touch him, a large white bird swooped in and clutched Foxy with its claws, flying up and preventing Kurotsuchi from grabbing him. The bird then flew towards Deidara and began to hover close to the boy, who stood up. He spat two teeth covered with blood to the ground and smiled. It was about time for these teeth to fall out. Deidara, give me Foxy back right now! No, I don't think so. I gave you the chance to prove your artistic sense, but you didn't take it. That was when you sealed Foxy's destiny. Give him back right now! Kurotsuchi dashed towards Deidara and the white bird, but the bird soared upwards in a vertical line with an uncanny speed. It still carried Foxy. I told you before, and you laughed at me, but the one who decides what beauty is me. Kurotsuchi threw another punch as she reached Deidara, but this time he dodged and slid backwards, raising a cloud of dust. Now, behold, true beauty. He pointed a hand with two raised fingers upwards, towards the bird, which was now flying over 100 meters above them. Cats! A bright flash of light turned the night into day for a split second, bathing the stone village mountains with the beauty Deidara wanted to show Kurotsuchi. An instant later, the shockwave hit them and echoed through the mountains for what felt like hours. Deidara couldn't help but to smile. That was true beauty. He could see it. It was there, the sliver of infinity. But when he looked at Kurotsuchi, her face was a mess, and he realized he was ugly, crying, "No!" Deidara couldn't understand it. He was positive Kurotsuchi would find it beautiful, that she would thank Deidara for what he did. What's wrong? You should be happy for Foxy. Now its pathetic and unsightly existence is justified and fulfilled. It went out with a bang. It became a sliver of infinity. It was beautiful. It was true art.
You killed Foxy. My mom gave him to me when I was a baby. I loved him.
But it was so ugly. And its final moment, it was so worth it. It was beautiful.
How can you be so evil?
Kurotsuchi weaved hand signs. Her eyes were inundated with tears and hatred.
Magma style. Lava wave.
Kurotsuchi spat a crashing wave of molten rock. Deidara jumped up to avoid it, but Kurotsuchi had transformed the training ground into an incandescent field of death. Whenever Deidara landed, he would burn to death, so he used his hand to bite white clay from his pouch and created a large bird with almost 2 meters of wingspan that he could mount in the air. The bird wasn't particularly agile or fast, however. It was far from being a perfect art piece. Kurotsuchi weaved more hand signs.
Magma style. Scorching rock stream.
She spat orbs of lava that flew up towards Deidara. He bit more clay with his hands and created small birds that flew towards the orbs, meeting them mid-air and exploding. The cascade of blasts sent thousands of molten rock drops fly in all directions. Some even burned the underbelly of the bird Deidara mounted. She really wants to kill me. Why is she so stupid? All I did was a favor. But I can't die here. I'll kill her if I have to. But after that, I'll have to flee this village forever. They would never forgive me for killing the granddaughter of the Tsuchikage. But I can fly away on this bird. They don't know I can fly, so they're not gonna look for me in the skies. Deidara thought, as more of his birds exploded against magma orbs. The only regret he had was leaving Kurohiri behind. She would be very sad, not only because Deidara would leave, but most of all because her daughter would be dead. However, Kurotsuchi was trying to kill him. It was him or her, and Deidara had no jutsu that incapacitated without killing or hurting someone severely. He launched another flock of birds down. The regular ones were now mixed with much faster birds, with wings that beat in a white blur. The normal birds clashed against Kurotsuchi's magma orbs, but the faster ones dashed down towards Kurotsuchi. She weaved hand signs and raised an earth wall. The fast birds detonated themselves, exploding the wall, but the earth shield protected Kurotsuchi. She knew Deidara was strong. He was a top student of their class, with Kurotsuchi coming in second in most shinobi disciplines, so she had to focus every ounce of her strength to win this fight. Kurotsuchi weaved hand signs to unleash more magma at Deidara. That was when a realization came to her. She was trying to kill Deidara, wasn't she? They've been living under the same roof for over a year now. Why were they fighting a death match? Because he exploded Foxy. But should she kill him because of that? No, that made no sense. But he was trying to kill her, so she had to kill him before she died. Kurotsuchi finished weaving hand signs ready to shoot more lava at Deidara. She locked her gaze at the large flying bird and concentrated to spit them faster now. His birds wouldn't be able to block them midair. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw a white blot on the ground next to her. The only patch of rock that was not taken over by the magma. It was a white grasshopper. White, just like Deidara's birds. Oh no, one of the birds carried the grasshopper to the ground. It was probably mounting on the bird's back so he wouldn't see it coming down. And when I made the stone wall, it jumped off so I wouldn't be able to see it again. I guess it circled around me, and when I focused on Deidara above, the grasshopper jumped, aiming itself towards Kurotsuchi's face. No, I don't have time to weave hand signs for the earth wall, she thought as tears began to form in her eyes. But they wouldn't be able to drop down her cheeks before her face was reduced to mush. I'm sorry, Kurohiri, but at least I'll give her a truly beautiful end, Deidara thought as the grasshopper was about to reach Kurotsuchi's face. Cats! Watch part 53 right here. Please like the video to help me out with the algorithm and all that stuff. It takes 2 seconds. Subscribe if you haven't already, and definitely rings the notifications because it helps the channel and it helps you guys as well. Comment down below what you thought about this episode and also as a sacrifice for the algorithm. And thank you so much for watching.